The three worst women in the Bible, the story they didn't tell you. Manipulation, betrayal, and murder. Today, we're diving into the stories of some of the most notorious women in the Bible. We'll uncover the crimes they committed and explore the history behind their actions. If this topic intrigues you, please consider supporting us by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel to help us spread the word. In third place, as one of the most wicked women in the Bible, we have Herodias. Before we get into her wrongdoing, it's essential to understand the events surrounding John the Baptist. John the Baptist was a bold and charismatic prophet who began preaching in the regions around the Jordan River. He called out people's sins and urged them to repent, gaining a large following due to his powerful message and his devoted, ascetic life in the desert. Tensions began to rise when John the Baptist publicly criticized the marriage of Herod Antipas to Herodias. Herod Antipas, the ruler of Galilee and Perea, had divorced his lawful wife to marry Herodias. The issue? Herodias had recently divorced her husband Philip, who happened to be Herod Antipas's brother. This marriage wasn't just a scandal, it was a violation of Jewish laws, a defiance of both moral and religious boundaries. John the Baptist, never one to shy away from speaking truth to power, boldly condemned this unlawful union. His fiery words didn't go unnoticed. Herodias, offended and feeling threatened by John's outspoken message, began to harbor a deep hatred for him and wanted him dead. Herod Antipas, however, had a complicated view of John. Although he was disturbed by John's words, he also admired him, respecting him as a prophet and even finding his messages intriguing. But over time, Herod yielded to political and social pressures, as well as the influence of Herodias. Eventually, he ordered John the Baptist to be arrested. While in prison, John became a powerful symbol of resistance, staying true to his principles even in the face of adversity. His imprisonment represented more than just a personal conflict. It symbolized the tension between divine morality and human ambition, a pivotal moment in history. But Herodias wasn't satisfied with John merely being imprisoned. She wanted him dead. The climax of her story unfolds during a lavish feast hosted by Herod Antipas. At this gathering, Herodias saw an opportunity to get what she desired most. She instructed her daughter, often identified as Salome, to dance for Herod. Salome's performance captivated Herod so deeply that, in a moment of intoxicated enthusiasm, he promised to grant her any wish. Seizing the opportunity, Salome, following her mother's guidance, requested the head of John the Baptist on a platter. Bound by his oath, and not wanting to lose face in front of his guests, Herod reluctantly granted her request. And so, John the Baptist, the fearless prophet who had dared to speak out against the marriage of Herodias and Herod, was ultimately executed because of Herodias' spite. In second place, among the most infamous women in the Bible, we find Athaliah. Her story unfolds in the corridors of power in Judah. Athaliah was the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel, which gave her a lineage steeped in the political and spiritual instability of that era. Her son, Ahaziah, briefly ruled the northern kingdom, but roughly a year later, both Ahaziah, the ruler of Judah, and Joram, the king of Israel, met their tragic fates at the hands of Jehu, who killed them. After her son's death, none of Ahaziah's descendants were old enough to take the throne of Judah. Sensing an opportunity to seize power, Athaliah took bold action to consolidate her position. She seized control of the throne, defying traditional expectations and norms. Athaliah's ambition seemed to have no limits. Once in power, Athaliah saw the royal lineage of David as a direct threat to her rule. In Jewish tradition, the line of David held profound significance, symbolizing God's promise of a Messiah who would come from David's descendants. Determined to secure her position, Athaliah ordered the massacre of all potential heirs from the house of David. This brutal purge was aimed at eliminating any rival who could challenge her authority. However, her ruthless plan didn't go entirely as she intended. Jehoiada, the high priest, managed to save a young boy named Joash, the only surviving descendant of David, by hiding him in the temple. This brave act preserved the Davidic lineage, despite Athaliah's efforts. Later, when Joash came of age, Jehoiada orchestrated a plan to crown him as king. In a public ceremony, Joash was revealed as the rightful heir, and the people rallied in support of the Davidic line. When Athaliah realized an uprising was underway, she tore her clothes and shouted, "Treason! Treason!" But her cries fell on deaf ears. The people, standing firmly with Jehoiada and the restoration of the Davidic line, were not swayed by her pleas. Joash's ascension to the throne marked a pivotal moment. Athaliah was captured, taken to the royal palace, and executed. Her reign, characterized by violence and intrigue, came to an end, as recorded in 2 Kings 11:16. Finally, in first place, we have the most ruthless woman in the Bible, Jezebel. Jezebel, a Phoenician princess, married King Ahab of Israel, forming a political alliance. But her influence extended far beyond marriage. She brought with her the worship of Baal, a pagan god, introducing idolatry into Israel. Her marriage to Ahab became a partnership marked by her powerful malevolent influence, casting a dark shadow over the nation. Jezebel was a fierce advocate of Baal worship, encouraging the construction of altars and temples dedicated to this foreign god. Under her influence, idolatry flourished in Israel, pulling the people further away from their faith in the God of Israel. Jezebel embodied corruption and manipulation, her influence paving the way not only for idolatry, but also for brutality against those who opposed her. She ordered the execution of numerous prophets of Jehovah, silencing those who stood against her religious beliefs. Among her targets was the prophet Elijah, who faced intense persecution due to Jezebel's wrath. Furthermore, she used royal resources to fund and support hundreds of prophets of Baal, using her position to entrench her foreign religion into the heart of Israel. One of the most striking examples of Jezebel's wickedness is the story of Naboth. Naboth, a righteous man, owned a vineyard next to the royal palace. When Ahab expressed a desire to buy the vineyard, Naboth refused, holding fast to his inheritance. Ahab was deeply troubled by this, but Naboth remained firm in his refusal. Seeing Ahab's distress, Jezebel devised a malicious scheme to get him what he wanted. She orchestrated a plot to accuse Naboth falsely. Jezebel arranged for false witnesses to accuse Naboth of blasphemy against God and the king. This conspiracy led to Naboth's wrongful execution by stoning, all because Jezebel wanted to satisfy Ahab's desires. This cruel scheme showcases not only Jezebel's wickedness, but also the moral corruption that had infiltrated Ahab's reign. Divine justice, however, was not far behind. The prophet Elijah confronted Ahab and Jezebel, announcing God's judgment upon them for Naboth's death. Elijah proclaimed that dogs would lick Jezebel's blood in the city of Jezreel, a chilling prophecy of her end. Later, Jezebel's demise was as dramatic as her life. After Ahab's death, their son Jehu took the throne, determined to carry out a divine mission. When Jehu confronted Jezebel, she attempted to seduce him with her charm and cunning, but divine justice would not be swayed. Jezebel was thrown from a window by a king's officer, and her body was devoured by dogs, fulfilling Elijah's prophecy. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Please leave a comment letting us know which city you're watching this video from, and remember to subscribe to the channel to help us continue our work. Hugs, and stay with God.